14-year-old Stephen Nelson had been walking the 6 miles to school without complaint. He'd taken on the trek for the last 6 months after their family car was repossessed. Despite the hardship, Stephen's parents always emphasized the importance of getting to school, so he remained committed to making the journey each day. The Nelson family had been going through some tough times of late, and it resulted in them losing the one thing that they needed the most: the family car. Now Stephen's parents had to take several buses to get to and from work, and it caused so much stress for everybody in the family. Stephen hated that his family was in this situation. Now that his parents and 2 other siblings who were in high school took the bus, there wasn't always enough money to go around. Therefore, Stephen ended up walking to school because his parents couldn't afford for all of them to take the bus. Stephen didn't mind, he liked walking through the neighborhoods, but he knew that the walk to school was a long one. Missouri had some harsh winters, and Stephen prayed that his family would be able to get the car back before then. He was dreading having to walk through the rain and snow. But in the end, he had no choice. His parents were very strict when it came to his and his siblings' education, and they wanted them all to graduate high school. They always talked about how not many family members could make it to graduation. Their circumstances always got the better of them. But Stephen's father, Samuel, only wanted the best for his children and vowed to watch them walk on the stage to receive their diplomas. And with Stephen being their only son, he had high hopes for him. One morning, Stephen arrived particularly late to school. His teacher, Mr. Travis, could see that he was panting and out of breath. It looked like he had been running. Stephen was a great student and never missed a day of school, so when Mr. Travis noticed his empty seat, he became worried. But he was relieved when Stephen eventually burst through the classroom door. "Stephen, are you okay? You're never late." Stephen couldn't catch his breath to give an answer, so Mr. Travis promptly handed him a glass of water. As soon as he was composed, he replied, "I missed my bus, sir, so I had to run all the way here." "It won't happen again, sir," Stephen promised. Mr. Travis knew how dedicated Stephen was, and he took his word for it. But somehow, something at the back of his mind told him that something was wrong. But Stephen looked all right, and he seemed to be doing well. But that would soon change when he noticed how Stephen's focus and grades had begun slipping. Mr. Travis knew how important an education was, especially in the low to middle-income families in the community. He himself grew up in such a household, and the only way he got out was by educating himself and finishing school. He knew he wanted to become a teacher to help other kids who were facing the same issues he did as a kid. As the days went by, Mr. Travis couldn't shake off the nagging feeling of concern for Stephen. He observed the once vibrant student gradually losing his enthusiasm for learning. Stephen's assignments started to lack his usual effort, and his test scores plummeted. Mr. Travis decided it was time to take action. He scheduled a meeting with Stephen's parents, hoping to uncover the reason behind their son's sudden decline in academic performance. The meeting day arrived, and Mr. Travis sat across from Stephen's parents, Samuel, and Anna Mae Nelson, in the school's conference room. Nervously, they'd exchanged greetings, their worried expressions mirroring Mr. Travis' concerns. "Thank you for taking the time to meet with me," Mr. Travis began. "I've noticed that Stephen's grades have been dropping recently, and I wanted to discuss it with you." Samuel and Anna Mae exchanged glances, their faces filled with the weight of their struggles. "We've been going through some tough times lately," Samuel admitted. "We lost our car a few months ago, and it's been challenging for the whole family." As the conversation continued, Samuel and Anna Mae shared the details of their financial difficulties. They explained how their limited income made it impossible to afford transportation for the entire family, forcing Stephen to walk to school each day. Touched by their honesty and the love they had for their son's education, Mr. Travis felt a surge of determination to help the Nelson family overcome this obstacle. He knew he couldn't change their circumstances entirely, but he could make a difference in Stephen's life. He wanted to do something for him to motivate him to continue coming to school. After the meeting, Mr. Travis couldn't stop thinking about Stephen's long walks to school and the toll it was taking on his academic performance. That night, a sudden hunch struck him as he lay awake in bed. "Maybe," he pondered, "there's something more I can do to support Stephen and his family." Mr. Travis had a plan up his sleeve. The following day, Mr. Travis spent hours researching possible solutions to alleviate the Nelson family's transportation burden. He reached out to local community organizations, seeking assistance in providing Stephen with a bicycle, hoping it would make his daily commute easier. He hoped that this would motivate Stephen to keep going. Through his efforts, Mr. Travis discovered a charity that donated bicycles to underprivileged students. Filled with hope, he submitted an application on behalf of Stephen. He had detailed the family's situation and the impact it had on the boy's education. He hoped that they would be able to help him and the family's plight. It was the least that he could do for them. Days turned into weeks, and just as Mr. Travis was starting to lose hope, he received a call from the charity. They informed him that a generous donor had read Stephen's story and was deeply moved by his determination. Mr. Travis was overjoyed that there was someone willing to help his cause. Now he could finally help Stephen and his family. The person who gave the donation wanted to keep their identity secret. They decided to give Stephen a new bike and help buy a reliable minivan for his family. Mr. Travis was amazed by the person's kindness. He wished he could thank them in person and explain how much it meant to him and the Nelson family. Mr. Travis was so excited that he called Stephen's parents and asked them to meet at the school. With joy in his eyes, he told them about the donation and how it would help Stephen get to school easily. The Nelsons couldn't believe how much Mr. Travis had done for their son. They were very thankful. Samuel and Anna Mae were overwhelmed with gratitude. They had never received so much help before and meant everything to them. They were glad to know that Mr. Travis cared so much about Stephen. On a sunny day, Mr. Travis arranged a special school assembly. The whole school was there, curious about what was happening. When Stephen came on stage with Mr. Travis, he saw his parents in the front row looking proud and emotional. The assembly went quiet as Mr. Travis began to speak. "Students," Mr. Travis said proudly, "today we celebrate an amazing young man who has shown great strength during tough times." He began to tell Stephen's story, highlighting how determined he was to overcome challenges and keep going with his education. Stephen couldn't believe what was happening. The whole room erupted with applause, and the students showed how much they admired Stephen. While everyone cheered, Mr. Travis invited Stephen's parents to come up on stage. Samuel and Anna Mae, filled with gratitude and happiness, stood up and joined their son on stage, feeling thankful for the community's support. Then it was time for the big moment. Mr. Travis revealed his shiny new bicycle, and the audience cheered, congratulating Stephen on his gift. Stephen was so emotional that he covered his face. He never knew so many people were cheering for him. He walked over to the bike, feeling grateful. He knew this gift would change his daily life and let him focus more on school. Mr. Travis then gave Stephen a set of keys, saying, "But that's not all. Thanks to someone generous, your family will also get a minivan." The audience was amazed, and Stephen's parents cried tears of joy, hugging each other tightly. They felt the weight of their struggles lift, if only for a moment. The Nelson family and the whole school community celebrated together, grateful to Mr. Travis for everything he had done. In the following weeks, Stephen's life changed. He rode his new bike to school happily, and his grades improved. The new minivan made life easier for the Nelson family, easing their daily travels and giving them more time together. But their happiness wouldn't last long. Soon enough, something would happen that none of them were expecting. Mrs. Nelson was laid off from her job. The family was dealt yet another blow. Now they were missing one paycheck, and Mrs. Nelson needed to find a new job quickly. This was unexpected for the family. As weeks passed, Mrs. Nelson's job search became more urgent. The family felt more stressed about money, and their hope began to fade. With each job rejection, Mrs. Nelson felt more discouraged, and Samuel felt the weight of responsibility. He worked hard to support the family, but bills kept coming and the future seemed uncertain. One evening, Mr. Travis received a frantic call from Stephen. Stephen was scared and worried. "Mr. Travis, something's wrong," Stephen said, barely able to speak. "I came home from school and our minivan, it's gone. It was parked outside, and now it's gone." Mr. Travis felt terrible hearing Stephen's words. What had happened to the Nelsons' only way to get around? Who could have taken their minivan?